I find his lack of balance disturbing.
It's all that data, bro. With SLT mega deals, he's got double data for the next 2 months.
Making headlines on First at 9. Pointing the finger. Mahinda failed to muster Parliament's majority due to high price of defectors. Broader coalition. SLFP to contest sports together with SLPP. The alliance to be established under President Sirisena. The ultimate solution. Former President insists that a general election is the only solution to overcome current political crisis. Close watch on Sri Lanka. UK warns it is aware of concerns felt by many about potential impact on human rights defenders. Lockdown mode. Major unrest in France as mass arrests during Yellow Vest protests.
බයික් එකක් ගත්තොත් ෆෝන් එකක්. ඔව් තෝරාගත් යමහා බයික් මාදිලි සඳහා රුපියල් 40000ක් දක්වා වටිනා ස්මාර්ට් ෆෝන් එකක් නොමිලේ. ඉක්මන් කරන්න නොවැම්බර් 30 දක්වා පමණයි. කොන්දේසි සහිතයි. අමතන්න 0117 699 699 AMW ඉතින් පමණයි.
A very good evening and welcome to First at 9, another Derana 24/7 Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Katharina Chang. Now moving on to our local news tonight. UK Minister of State for Human Rights Lord Ahmed of Wimbledon warns that the United Kingdom is closely following developments in Sri Lanka and is aware of the concern felt by many about the potential impact on human rights defenders. Issuing a statement on the 2018 human rights situation in the Foreign and Commonwealth Office's 30 human rights priority countries, Lord Ahmed further stated that the British government has spoken to all parties about the need to protect and promote human rights, the rule of law and good governance, and is in close touch with civil society representatives and international partners to ensure that the UK is ready to respond to a changing context if necessary. Shedding some positive observation on developments made in gender equality in the island nation, Lord Ahmed stated that in Sri Lanka, the proportion of elected female officials have significantly increased. With the new 25% quota in place for local elections in February, a total of 1,919 women were elected, compared with just 91 between 2008 and 2011. In July, the UK's Foreign and Commonwealth Office published its annual Human Rights and Democracy report. The report focused in particular on the 30 countries, including Sri Lanka, which the UK government believes human rights issues are of greatest concern. Expressing his sentiments on the current political impasse, President Maithripala Sirisena says that the UMP leader RANIL WICKREMESINGHE and his supporters should be blamed for the faults in the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. Speaking to a local newspaper, the President asserted that it was unnecessary to take issues surrounding the Constitution and dissolution of Parliament to the judiciary.
මන්ත්‍රීවරුන්ට පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මිල ගණන් කැඳවීම කළානේ. ටෙන්ඩර් දැම්මා වගේ තමයි උනේ මම හිතන්නේ. මම පුද්ගලිකව දන්නවා සමහර අය මිලියන් 500 ඉල්ලුවයි කියලා මට දැනගන්න තියෙනවා. සාමාන්‍ය මගේ දේශපාලන ජීවිතේ මම මේ ප්‍රාදේශීය සභා මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙකුටවත් රුපියලක්වත් දීලත් නැහැ, දෙන්න කතා කරලත් නැහැ, දෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. මම හිතන්නේ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්මයාට 113 හදාගන්න බැරි වෙච්ච කාරණේ උනේ ඔය මිල ගණන් ඉහළ යෑම ඒ උඩ තමයි මේ විදිහේ තත්ත්වයක් අවුලක් ඇති උනේ. නැත්නම් මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයාට 113 හදාගන්න තිබුණා නම් මේ මාසයකමාරක් මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ මෙහෙම ඇදෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. මෙහෙම දේශපාලන අර්බුදයකුත් නැහැ. ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකාරණය විභාග වන පාර්ලිමේන්තු විසිරීම පිළිබඳව එන නඩු තීන්දුවෙන් මේ නඩු ඔක්කොම ඉවර වෙනවා. මේ අර්බුදෙත් ඉවර වෙනවා. ඡන්දයකට යන්න පුළුවන් කියලා උසාවිය තීන්දුව කළොත් ඡන්දයක්. ඔක්කොම ඡන්දයට යනවා මේ ප්‍රශ්නේත් ඉවරයි. එහෙම නැත්නම් පාර්ලිමේන්තු ඉස්සරහන්න බෑ කියලා එහෙම උසාවි තීරණයක් ආවොත් එතකොට පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ බහුතරයට ආණ්ඩුවක් කරන්න මම ඉඩ දෙන්න ඕනේ මම කැමති අගමැතිවරයෙක් පත් කරගෙන. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයාට තව 224ක් ඉන්නවානේ. ඉතින් ඔය තියෙන දේශපාලන පක්ෂ වල වෙන එක්කෙනෙක්වත් නැද්ද? සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අර ගමේ කතාවක් තියෙනවානේ මේ ඉගිලෙන කොටයි පාට පෙන්නේ කියලා. ඉතින් රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයාත් පාට පෙවුනේ ඉගිලෙන කොට තමයි. කියන්නේ බලය ලැබුණාම. එයා කොච්චර ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය කතා කළත් අවුරුදු 25ක් තිස්සේ තමාගේ පක්ෂයේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයේ නුදුන්නු කෙනෙක් රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා. මේ පෞගේ අවුරුදු 3මාරේ අගමැති විදිහට විතරක් නෙවෙයි. මගේ ජනාධිපති බලතලත් එයා පාවිච්චි කරුවා. මම කළගුණ සලකන්න මම ඒවා නොදක්ක වගේ හිටියා. එයා සමහර වෙලාවට මේ ජනාධිපති නෙවෙයි මේ මම ප්‍රාදේශීය මන්ත්‍රීවරුද කියලාවත් එයා හිතන්නේ නැතුව තමයි එයා වැඩ කෙරුවේ. මහා බැංකු මංකොල්ලේ පිළිබඳ විශේෂ ජනාධිපති පරීක්ෂණ කොමිෂන් සභාවේ කටයුතු කරපු විශේෂයෙන් පොලිස් දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ නිලධාරීන්ට විරුද්ධව ඒ පරීක්ෂණ කටයුතු වලින් අනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතාට අවහිරයක් සිද්ධ වුණා කියලා ඒ නිලධාරීන්ට විරුද්ධව පරීක්ෂණ කළා. ඒකෙන් ඒගොල්ලෝ හුඟක් පරීක්ෂණ කටයුතු අඩපණ වුණා. පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විසිරුවීමේ කටයුතු වලදී මේ 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනයෙන් ඇති වෙලා තිබෙන අවහිරතා ඉතා පැහැදිලිව මගේ නම් අදහස මෙවැනි දේශපාලන අර්බුදයක් ඇති වුණාම අධිකරණයට යෑම සුදුසු වන්නේ නැහැ කියන එකයි. දැන් මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ අධිකරණයට ගියේ නැත්නම් මම දන්නවා මෙලහට ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳිලා. මේ ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනයේ යහපත් පැත්ත ඉතා හොඳයි වගේම අයහපත් පැත්තට වග කියන්න ඕන එහෙම හදිස්සියට මේක සම්මත කරගත්ත රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතා සහ ඔහුට සහයෝගය දුන්න 14ක් පිරිස. දැන් අගමැති කෙනෙක් නැහැ, අමතිමණ්ඩලයක් නැහැ, ජනාධිපති ධනිය රට ගෙනියනවා. හැබැයි දියංග පිහිටෙන් තෙරුවන් හරණින් රට හොඳට යනවා. රටේ ගැටුමක් නැහැ. කතානායකතුමාටයි මටයි පුළුවන්කම තිබුණා දැන් මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ ඇති වුණාට පස්සේ අවස්ථා කීපයක් අපි දෙන්න එකට හමු වෙලා වාඩි වෙලා. තුමා මම ඉන්න තැනට පැමිණිලා මගේ ආරාධනයට ඒ වගේම දුරකථනයෙන් මම හිතන්නේ අවස්ථා 15ක් 20ක් දැන් කතා කරලා තියෙනවා මේ සතිපරේ. එතුමාට සහ මට පුළුවන්කම ලැබුණා ඒ දිවෙන බොහෝ ගැටලු निराකරණය කරගන්න. කතානායකතුමාත් මමත් වැඩ කරන විදියට අනිත් පක්ෂ විශේෂයෙන්ම එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ නායකයා වැඩ කරනවා නම් මේ ප්‍රශ්නය මෙච්චර දුර දිග යන්නේ නැතුව ඉස ගන්න තිබුණා කියලා මම හිතනවා.
Meanwhile, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the only solution for the chaotic political situation in Sri Lanka is a general election. He said he's participating at a religious event in Rukmale in Panipitiya today.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived at the Dhamma Vijayaloka Vihara in Rukmale Panipitiya this morning and called on the Most Venerable Dr. Ittayapana Dhammalankara Mahanayaka Thera, the Chief Prelate of Kotte Sri Kalyani Samagri Dharma Mahasangha Sabha.
If the Court of Appeal gave such a verdict during Prabhakaran's time, he would have easily conquered us because we wouldn't have been able to give any commands. If there was a UNP government under such a situation, they would have pelted stones at us. We don't do politics depending on post. We engaged in politics even when we didn't have post. We will be in politics as long as people are with us.
General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Professor Rohan Lakshman Piyadasa reveals that the party will run for upcoming elections under a broader alliance with the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna. He said this addressing a media briefing in Colombo today.
A special meeting of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party Central Committee was held at the President's official residence. The meeting was chaired by Party Chairman President Maithripala Sirisena. Following the meeting, SLFP members spoke to media.
දැන් පොත්තුවයි අපි දෙගොල්ලම එකතු වෙලා පොදු සන්දානයක් නිර්මාණය කළා අපේ වර්තමාන අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා ඒකේ නායකයා විදිරින මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයා. ඉතින් අපි මේ ගමන යන්න පටන් ගන්නවා.
However, when questioned about the leadership of the said alliance between the SLFP and SLPP during a media briefing at the SLFP headquarters this morning, he had this to say.
නෑ මේ මැතිවරණයට හදන සන්දානය සියලුම දේශපාලන පක්ෂවල සියලුම කණ්ඩායම් වල නායකත්වයෙන් මේ සහභාගීත්වයක් සිදුවනවා. මේ නායකත්වයේ ගරු ජනාධිපතිගේ නායකත්වයෙන් බිහි වෙන්නේ. ඒකට අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමා වන මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහතාගේ සහභාගීත්වයත් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ලැබෙනවා. චන්ද්‍රිකා කුමාරතුංග මෙතනිය ලියුමක් වල තිබුණා මේ සම්මේලනයේටයි ආරාධනා කරලා තිබුණ නැත්තේ කියලා. මට තේරෙන්නේ මේ තමුන්නාසෙලා තමයි මයින් අහන්නේ. ඒක තමුන්නාසෙලට එලිපිය ගිහින් දින්නේ. මට නෙවන්න ඕනේ එලිපිය. පත්තර වලට ප්‍රචාරය ලබා ගැනීමට තමයි මේ කාරණා වෙන්නේ. එහෙම වෙන්න ඕනේ නෑ. මේ වගේ ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ නායිකාවක්.
In the meantime, following a function in Colombo, former President Chandrika BANDARANAIKE KUMARATUNGA was questioned by the media.
Madam, මාධ්‍යම කාර්යසභාවට ගියේ නැද්ද අද? ආරාධනා කරා. ඔයගොල්ලෝ කොහෙන්ද? අපි මේ මීඩියයි. මොන මීඩියාද? අපි රූපවාහිනී හිරු දෙරණ. අපෝ මහින්දගෙන් ගිහලා වහන්න. නෑ මැඩම් මම මහින්දනේ කන්ට්‍රෝල් කරන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන්. මැඩම් කොහොමද මාධ්‍යම කාර්යසභාවට ගියාද අද? මේ සභාවක් නේද? හරි. No comment. No හරි හරි. මැඩම් කොහොමද වර්තමාන දේශපාලන තත්ත්වය දකින්නේ? මැඩම් හරි.
UPA is of the view that presidential elections cannot provide a solution to the current political impasse and it will only come to an end with a general election. UPF MP Dara Salah Peruma made these statements speaking at a rally in Valigama today.
This case concluded yesterday. The Supreme Court did not mention as to when the verdict would be delivered. The judiciary will have a vacation period of 2 weeks starting from the 14th. What if the decision is delivered after the 14th? It will be January after vacation ends. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal made its judgment saying that there is no Prime Minister or a cabinet existing in the country. The justices should give it a thought. There is a plot to assassinate the president. What if those conspirators execute the plan now? We wish that it never happens, but if any such thing happens, what will the country go through? The Supreme Court can make two decisions. First one would be to call for a general election by ruling in favour of the dissolution of Parliament. Second one would be to cancel the dissolution of Parliament. If the Parliament is dissolved, then it would lead to an election. If not, the Parliament would remain the same. The UNP is calling for a presidential election, and if one wins the presidential election, irrespective of the party he is in, the Parliament will continue to be in effect until the 3rd of March in 2020. If it is wrong to dissolve Parliament before 4.5 years on that grounds, even if a new president is elected, can he continue with this parliament?
UMP MP Navin Dissanayake says that the next Prime Minister will emerge from the United National Party. He expressed his confidence at a public gathering in Nuwara today.
We strongly believe that we will be able to appoint a Prime Minister from the United National Party very soon. We should thank Mahinda Rajapaksa and Maithripala Sirisena for bringing our party to a better place. What will be held next is the presidential election, where the UNP will emerge victorious. We will create a UNP-led government. When the court gives their verdict, Maithripala Sirisena will have to rethink his decision, and when this takes place, we will all gather in numbers and surround the Presidential Secretariat and the President's House and ensure that we instill fairness, justice and democracy to this country once more. It is only if we go for a general election will this issue conclude, but not in a manner that goes against the Constitution and under the tyrannical powers of the President. There is one condition. We would like to hold elections in a government that is recognised by law. It is only after the final verdict will we decide who is the popular candidate from our party.
Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that if the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was well analysed before passing it, such a destruction might not have happened to the country. He said this addressing a conference by the civil organisation ELYSEES in Moratuwa today.
Yet another conference of the ELYSEES was held at the auditorium of NITA Institute in Katubadda, Moratuwa, under the patronage of former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa today.
When the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was brought to Parliament, I don't think even the parliamentarians had read it. If they did, why would they allow it to be passed like that? According to that, people should tolerate the government whatever they do. Even if they divide the country, destroy the economy, steal from the central bank, the people should allow the government to continue according to the amendment. Can't it be changed by anyone? One government was appointed in March 1960 and by July it was defeated and another government was established. But our country moved forward. Governments change for the betterment of the country. If a government is not ruling as per the aspirations of the people, they have a right to change it. There are ideological influences imposed on the court system of different countries. It is very timely to start a dialogue in the society to strengthen the attorneys to take stern decisions and about the reforms and influences done to court system by the international funds. If the country is suffering this much because of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, what would happen if they create an entirely different and new constitution? After the final gunshot was fired at 10:30 in the morning of the 19th of May 2009 in Nandikadal, acts of terrorism were not reported in our country until the two policemen in Vaunathy were killed. National security is necessary to govern the country, maintain the economy and prepare the constitution.
එක දෙයක් අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි ඒ තමයි ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව.
President Maithripala Sirisena paid his final respects to the remains of late Chief Prelate of the historic Kande Vihara in Alutgama was Venerable Batuanhene Sri Buddharakkhita Thera last night. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and Speaker Karu Jayasuriya also paid their final respects to the late Thera. Most Venerable Sri Batuanhene Buddharakkhita Thera, who was also the Sanganayaka of Bentra Vallala Vitakorala, passed away at age 78 while receiving treatment at a private hospital in Colombo. President Maithripala Sirisena arrived at Kande Vihara last night, where the remains of the Thera are kept for public homage. In the meantime, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa too paid his final respects to the late Naik Thera. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya arrived at the Kande Vihara temple to pay his last respects to the remains of the most venerable Thera last night. The final rites of the late Thera will be performed at the public grounds in Kalalavilavatta in Arutgama on Monday. The 38th phase of the Derana National Humanitarian Initiative got underway in Kilinochchi today with the objective of supporting the fight against kidney disease rampant in many parts of Sri Lanka.
Under the 38th phase of the Derana National Campaign, a health camp was organised at the Tambirasa College in Kilinochchi today. Clinic to detect possible cases of early-stage kidney disease was conducted. Area residents were seen gathered at the clinic in numbers. Officials of the Security Force headquarters in Kilinochchi and Sri Lanka Eye Donation Society were key supporters in the latest initiative of Derana. Several other programs to help pregnant mothers with dry rations and school children with necessary educational material were carried out under Derana guidance.
This program is a very relevant program and it definitely aligns itself with the need of the area. We have, as an army, many times integrated or partnered with Derana, and I am certain that this program would add value to the reconciliation that is taking place.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
In a bid to boost production and commercialization of fruit crops among value chains actors, Sri Lanka entered into a tripartite agreement between the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and China. FAO China South-South Cooperation Agreement was penned by Deputy Director General of FAO Daniel Gustafsson, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of China to FAO New Dunn, and Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture KDS Ruachandra at the FAO headquarters in Rome recently. FAO's South-South Cooperation Initiative helps developing countries share and transfer agricultural knowledge and expertise among each other so that innovation and good practices that have been tested elsewhere in the global south can benefit other countries facing similar challenges. China has granted $80 million to the FAO China South-South Cooperation Program in support of knowledge sharing and technology transfer among southern countries. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, and non-OPEC oil producers in Australia's Vienna yesterday agreed to jointly cut the crude production by 1.2 million barrels per day from January 2019 for an initial period of 6 months. At the OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting yesterday, OPEC member states contribute an output cut of 0.8 million barrels per day, and non-OPEC oil pumpers, including Russia, contribute 0.4 million barrels per day output cut from the production of October level. But the details of the quota for each member state are not given. The deal was reached after Iran, Venezuela and Libya were granted exemption from curbing its output due to the special political situations. The surge of US oil production, which was increased by 2.5 million barrels barrels per day since early 2016 to 11.7 million barrels per day has given OPEC and other oil pumpers more pressure in global market competition. The joint output cut decision made by OPEC and non-OPEC members came at a time when oil prices declined around 30% over the last 2 months due to oversupply in the global market. On to other international biz news. China reported far weaker than expected November exports and imports, showing slower global and domestic demand and raising the possibility that authorities will take more measures to keep the country's growth rate from slipping too much. November exports only rose 5.4% from a year earlier. Chinese customs data showed today the weakest performance since a 3% contraction in March and well short of the 10% forecast in a Reuters poll. Analysts say the export data show that the front-loading impact as firms rushed out shipments to beat planned US tariff hikes faded and that export growth is likely to slow further as demand cools. Import growth was 3%, the slowest since October 2016 and a fraction of the 14.5% seen in the poll. French riot police fired tear gas canisters at yellow vest protesters in central Paris today at the start of a planned demonstration against the high cost of living under President Emmanuel Macron. A police spokeswoman told reporters there were about 1,500 protesters on the Champs-Élysées Boulevard, and authorities said 211 people had been arrested after police found weapons such as hammers, baseball bats and metal pentagon balls on them.
Police in Paris have fired tear gas on protesters as a fourth weekend of anti-government protest turned violent. Up to 5,000 demonstrators have gathered in the city centre and at least 272 people have been arrested. Prime Minister Edouard Philippe said the number of arrests were greater than during the whole of the previous weekend. Meanwhile, some 8,000 officers and 12 armed vehicles have been deployed in Paris alone and nearly 90,000 in the country as a whole. The Yellow Vests movement opposed fuel tax rises, but ministers say it's been hijacked by ultra-violent protesters. Last week, hundreds of people were arrested and scores injured in violence in Paris, some of the worst street clashes in the French capital for decades. Demonstrators are being held in several other cities including Lyon, Marseille and Grenoble, where a local leader of the Yellow Vests is reported to have been arrested. The security forces are seeking to prevent a repeat of last weekend in the capital, where the Arc de Triomphe was vandalized, police were attacked and cars overturned and burned. French President Emmanuel Macron's ratings have fallen amid the crisis, and he is planning a national address next week.
6 people, including 5 young teenagers, were crushed to death in the early hours today following a stampede at a packed nightclub near Ancona on Italy's Adriatic coast. The deaths occurred when a walkway leading out of the Lanterna Azzurra nightclub in the town of Corinaldo collapsed, causing dozens of people to fall into a trench below. 3 girls, 2 boys and a mother who had accompanied her children to the event died in the crush. Police said the teenagers were aged between 14 and 16, while the dead woman was 39. More than 100 other people were injured, 13 of them seriously, and local fire brigade said someone might have sprayed a substance like pepper spray into the crowd, triggering a panic rush to the emergency exits. The US prosecutors said yesterday that US President Donald Trump directed his personal lawyer to make illegal hush payments to 2 women ahead of the 2016 election and also detailed a previously unknown attempt by a Russian to help the Trump campaign. In court filings, federal prosecutors in New York and those working for special counsel Robert Mueller made the case for why Trump's former personal lawyer Michael Cohen and his former campaign chairman Paul Manafort deserved prison time.
Federal prosecutors said for the first time yesterday that Michael Cohen acted at the direction of Donald Trump when the former fixer committed 2 election-related crimes during the 2016 presidential campaign, as special counsel Robert Mueller outlined a previously undisclosed set of overtures and contacts between the Trump campaign and Russian nationals. Those revelations came in a set of court filings in which federal prosecutors in New York said Cohen should receive a substantial prison sentence of roughly 4 years for tax fraud and campaign finance crimes, and as Mueller's office accused the president's former attorney of lying about his contacts with Russia. Mueller's disclosures also exposed deeper entanglements than previously known between Trump, his campaign apparatus and the Russian government, including that a Russian national who claimed to be well connected in Moscow spoke with Cohen in 2015 and offered political synergy with the Trump campaign. The pair of memos from two sets of prosecutors reflected competing views, Cohen's utility to the federal investigations ahead of his scheduled sentencing on Wednesday. Prosecutors added in particular, and as Cohen himself has now admitted, with respect to both payments, he acted in coordination with and at the direction of Individual 1. Individual 1 is the term prosecutors have been using to refer to the president. President Trump has repeatedly denied there was any collusion with Russian officials, calling the investigation a witch hunt.
And with that, we cross over to a short commercial break. Stay tuned.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
On to some cricket news now. Australian cricketer Steve Rickson has been appointed Sri Lanka's fielding coach in their lead-up to the 2019 World Cup. He will begin his new assignment with Sri Lanka later this month ahead of their second test against New Zealand in Christchurch. Rickson will be replacing Manoj Abeyewickrema, who filled in after NIC Nick Pothas stepped down from the role of a fielding consultant in April this year. Rickson, who has played 13 tests and 6 ODIs for Australia and also served as the assistant coach, will join the team in New Zealand on December 24th.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Derana 24/7.
Now time for you to get the latest from the world of entertainment with our segment 70 Seconds of Entertainment.
Constance Wu has scored a Golden Globe Best Lead Actress nomination, the first Asian woman in 44 years to be named in the category for her performance in Crazy Rich Asians. The Hollywood film, the first in 25 years to feature in all-Asian cast, also won a nomination for Best Film Musical or Comedy. It has so far made around $238 million worldwide since its premiere in August. Quantico actor and Bollywood star Priyanka Chopra married US singer Nick Jonas on the 1st of December in a Christian ceremony, which was also followed by a Hindu ceremony. After the wedding, an article on American website The Cut, which is now been taken down, sparked outrage for suggesting that Chopra had trapped the US singer Jonas into marrying her to further her career. Indians on social media were seen rallying to defend the Bollywood star after the article called her a scam artist. After the cliffhanger ending of Avengers Infinity War, in which half of the superheroes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe were seen snuffed out of existence by purple alien Thanos, fans of the franchise have been eagerly awaiting a glimpse of the film's sequel. Yesterday, with no prior announcement, Walt Disney and Marvel Studios dropped the trailer for the new film, which is due at the end of April 2019, with its title revealed as Avengers Endgame.
Moving on to our weather forecast for tomorrow, temperatures are to vary between 20 and 29 degrees Celsius, with highs of 29 expected in the Puttalam district. Showers or thundershowers will occur in many areas of the island, including eastern, over central and north central Sabaragama provinces and in Kalutara, Galle and Mathura districts. Fairly strong gusty winds of up to 40 km per hour can be expected in the Uva and eastern provinces and in the Kurunegala district. Misty conditions may occur at some places in the central, Sabaragama and western provinces during the morning hours. Let us now take a look at your city-by-city forecast. And before we go, we'd like to take you to the Vatican City. As the festive season is fast approaching, a giant Christmas tree and a nativity scene made of sand were officially unveiled at the Vatican yesterday at an annual ceremony marking the festive season. For the first time, the traditional nativity scene took a rather unusual form. It has been sculpted out of 720 tons of sand and consists of Joseph, Mary, the infant Jesus, angels, shepherds, animals and the three kings. We hope you enjoy these stunning visuals and wish you a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.